Hello guys, and welcome to sort of an intermediate point in the Higurashi Go series. We are doing some theory crafting and discussion since we've hit maybe the halfway point. I think we're recording this after watching episode 13. So even though this should come out after episode 13. Yeah, I think that's like the end of the Blu-ray that came out recently, so I think it is like a good enough halfway point to do some theories and stuff like that. If you're new here, hello, I'm Aidan. We do lots of anime stuff, but a lot of Higurashi stuff mainly. And obviously we're watching Go right now, and yeah. I think I have some ideas of what's happening. I am a big Higurashi fan, by the way. I do know the source material and stuff like that. So we're using the information I know from the original series to incorporate into my ideas. Because if you're like a first-time anime viewer, you obviously can't like come up with the same ideas. I really do wonder like if Go is your first Higurashi experience, like what are you thinking at this point? I think you can like get some of the basic stuff, but like stuff with the syndrome is just like it's not really doable, huh? But yeah, let's go over a few things. First off, just I mean I say this like every episode just because I think it's like super right. But I think like one of the general theories that kind of mates this whole new world is the fact that since this is post Matsuri Bayashi, confirmed by episode 2, even though we're back in the loop, all the characters' memories are like slowly coming like integrating into their current selves, like what we see with Kaichi throughout like Sumi Horoboshi and up. Since this is post Matsuri Bayashi, and even though like Ani Damashi Hen is a reflection of Anu Takashi, we still see Kaichi getting those memories back because it's still like the loop's still continuing. So I assume that people's memories like are slowly returning to them as the loop continues, manifesting in like weird dreams and flashbacks sort of things. So I think that's a continuous thing, and I think that's changing some of the characters, because as we can see, like different stuff is happening in this in the new series, and I assume it is using the same game board. Well, I don't know if you can call it a fragment, probably more suitable for Higurashi. They're using more fragments, the same fragments, but just different stuff happening. Though we do see the rules being bended differently. And for this to happen, you have to imagine that the actual characters are different. And I think it shows like evidence of characters besides Kaichi getting his memories back and how it changes their personality. Like one, I want to believe that Shion just permanently likes Toto now, even in Wata Damashi Hen, even though we didn't get confirmation of that. I like to think she's just permanently like Toto. Obviously with Kaichi we don't need to explain. There's a lot of Satoko stuff too, like very small details that I found odd just because, you know, I'm hyper watching the series for any like small differences. Like in Wata Damashi during the game tournament, how she won first against those boys, while in the original she was like second last next to Kaichi after like launching a trap or whatever. It seemed like she like insta-winned, which was different. And you're like, Aidan, that's such a minor detail. But you see it again in Totori Damashi Hen when she actually beats Komeda in a pitching battle. When I mean there might be some mind games going in. We didn't really get like a deep look into that. But like without Kaichi like intervening and stuff. So I do like to imagine that that's like an effect of them regaining their memories and slowly changing into different characters. And I want to assume it's for like a lot more characters, because someone has to be a villain or the mastermind, I guess, like a main target. And I think we can safely say it's like not Takano. 100%. My girl is innocent, so Then the question is who it is. But before we even do that, like expanding on our current topic, we can see this whole change in characters like affect the story more deeply, and this is now more speculative. But like during Anidamashi, I kind of assumed, like, one of my main theories was that Rena killed Tomotaki Tateno because she got fragments of the memory of them being the main culprit to how she said she wanted to save her dad. So I assume it's like that's why she killed him. And I was going off like this is more a circumstantial killing, but it always happens because the killers get their memories of Tateno being the villain. So they all target her in different ways. So you can say in Wata Damashi Hen, Neon probably killed Tateno from getting the memories back. It's something I was playing on. Another thing was Satoko standing up to the uncle in Tatari Damashi Hen without the support of Rika and Kaichi through the phone call, which shows again probably she has the memories of Minaduroshi where she had the strength and she didn't actually need the push from Rika this time. But just details like that. Though I will say that maybe I am maybe I could be wrong on Rena killing. I might be wrong on the idea that like Rena killed Takano in Anidamashi and Mion killed it in Watadamashi, just because it does seem like maybe it's like the rule where someone like I don't know. It seems like it's too consistent for it to be like random chance, though it's not really random chance if it's happening every time, right? Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's either that or it's part of someone's master plan. And then we get into this whole thing is like, is this mastermind a product of the memories changing the characters, or is it like something even deeper, like moving into more like Umineko territory where someone like just hijacks the game? I'm just saying that just because with the information, someone reminded me about the sword shit. Like, I think it might be something deeper, just because of how much the ending of Tatari Damashi kind of tripped me up, and how I feel like I don't really understand it as much as I like to, which bothers me. So I think maybe it could be something like that. But I don't know. It's like two separate topics, right? Or I guess it wouldn't be. Like the state of the world and the mastermind that Rika needs to take down. So you're like, Aidan, who are your suspects? My main suspect is Oishi. I think Oishi is my #1 suspect. The other two suspects I have are a combination of Satoko and the Mountain Dogs from evidence in Wata Damashi Hen, plus some weird stuff in Tatari Damashi. And my final one, even though it's kind of a meme, is like Satoshi. Satoshis. We'll go through them all. Oishi, it's really hard to explain, honestly. I don't really know how to tackle it. Like, Oishi's always been a weird character to me because I was way more sus of him for the longest time than probably I should have been. It's just that, I guess the idea for Oishi is, in Higurashi, even though I was wrong about him at the end, I could see, the only two possible culprits I can see was Oishi and Takano, and I can actually envision, some motives of why Oishi would do it, and I know it's wrong now, but, now that Takano's, definitely not the culprit, my mind automatically wanders to, Oishi being the culprit, though there isn't that much evidence pointing toward it, to be honest. Oishi's been pretty standard to how he was in normal Higurashi. I think, Aidan, what could be his motives? Obviously how desperate he is and to finding the culprit and stuff, that he could resort to murdering who he thinks it is, or something or another idea was doing the curse murders to blame the Sonozakis, put pressure on them. Though obviously that's wrong. I assume the foundations of the world are the same. Honestly, the ending of Tatari Damashi is almost like a godsend for the Oishi theory, because Because how do I say it? At the end, when he killed Satoko, Rika, Shion, and Mion at the festival, like, why would he do that? There's two obvious answers. One is he has the syndrome and somehow, and he killed him because of that. Another answer, though, that I do like is that Oishi. It's so stupid though when I actually say it out loud. Oishi does know about the loop stuff, and he knows, oh shit, this world's safe. I better just end this world right away so we can loop again. And you're like, Aidan, why would that be? I don't know, dude. I don't think we have enough evidence at all to say why. If someone was controlling the loop, why it would be. I think we're just gonna have to wait on that. Because obviously they will explain it if that is the case. Again, you're like, it could be that, or it could be that the world's just very different because of the evolution of the characters through the memory stuff, and there is no like big mastermind, kind of. Or there could there doesn't have to be like an omnidimensional mastermind, is what I mean. There could be like a basic one like Takano was through like changes in the character, but it doesn't have to be like a higher plane mastermind. It's one of those two. Okay, now going to the Satoko Mountain Dog stuff. Obviously, the biggest piece of information is the fact that at the end of Wachidamashi Hen, where it was shown that Satoko visited Mion in her house and they both died. But when Kaichi breaks out, you also see him noticing mountain dog looking people surrounding the house through the surveillance cams, which is very weird. Now that being said, it's not complete evidence that they were part of a team or whatever. It could have actually been coincidence, but there are some points. Like my idea, like why would Satoko be working with the mountain dogs? We have to go like into my other theory about like why Takano's dying. One idea that I kind of like is that the mountain dogs, something's happening because there's all this Tokyo shit going on, right? And another faction, something happened and they want to clean up the whole Higurashi stuff, right? Hinamizawa stuff. So they try to bury Takano and get rid of all that, all that stuff in general. But another idea is maybe they don't want to get rid of the research stuff, and Satoko knows about the research stuff to help her and other people get the vaccine, so she's on board willingly. And she remembers that Takano's planning a coup and kind of ruining everything, so she takes care of them, is what I think could be. Like, it's either like they're completely trying to erase the clinic stuff, which kind of seems likelier with Onidamashi Hen, how we saw them being cleaned up. But I think another option is that they're not trying to clean it up, but they discover the coup early. So then people order like maybe the bloodhounds to take care of Takano and detractors. Tomotaki gets caught in the crossfire, sadly. I don't know why. So I think that's the main thing. And then there's obviously like sus stuff with Satoko at the end of Tataru Damashi Hen. But I don't necessarily think it's Satoko's fault. But before that, because we're going to be talking about Tataru Damashi a bit more, Satoshi Theory, Aidan, why is it Satoshi? Okay, so I was thinking, like, because Rika got stuck back in the time loop because she got killed. And I'm like, okay, who would kill Rika? And who is like, you can kind of assume that it's either someone has a grudge against Rika, or someone knows about the time loop thing and wants in. And like just brainstorming of who can possibly want that, like the only answer in my head is Satoshi. And I know how stupid that sounds, but like everyone's happy besides like him. Who knows what's happening with Satoshi? I mean, technically it could be Takano, but I like to assume that Takano was doing well in her therapy and is just living happily with Tomotaki. That's my headcanon. I mean, none of the club members would have any reason to do that. I even don't think Oishi necessarily has a reason to do that, which kind of weakens the Oishi theory, but still. Like the only person that I think can possibly want that, unless it's like freaking like Nomura, but like who cares about Nomura, is Satoshi. I don't know, maybe he's freaking pissed that he's been in like a coma for a couple years. And I know this is all headcanon, but it's just the idea of like who would do it and like who's unsatisfied post Matsuribayashi. And like Satoshi is the only person in my mind that actually makes sense. Though obviously we're gonna get a what happened future arc thing probably explaining, so we'll see what happens. It sounds so stupid, but like I low-key think it's possible. So let's talk about the arcs quickly. I don't think there's much to talk about in Ani Damashi Hen. Again, I resend my statement that Rena killed Tomotaki Takano. I think it's possible, but I think it might be something bigger than that. Watadamashi Hen, I'm so happy with my answer that Shion did kill Kimiyoshi or Yu. At least Kimiyoshi and Oryu had Mion locked out, and it was still Shion pretending to be Mion when Shion brought Keiichi to the Mion household. And in the middle of that, when she was getting tea, I think Mion somehow broke out, dealt with Shion, and took the place of the real Mion, just because of those shifts in personality. How Mion was literally just reading lines from the conversation in Watanagashi during the first half before Shigati, and after Shigati it was all new lines. Makes me think it was probably a switch in between then. So I'm happy with that. I still don't know how Rika died. Maybe it was Shion. I guess she did have that rant against Rika. It's a little like, I'm a little stumped on that one, but I think, and then we got Toto, which I think, again, she's either working for the Mountain Gods or Mion shot her, because she was High Syndrome. You saw the neck scratches, so you know she was High Syndrome, and just mistook Satoko for an enemy. Totardamashi Hen, this is the most confusing and honestly like fun to think about one, because the ending is just so mind-blowing. I think the obvious fact you can take about it, and I did rewatch the episode just in case, was that Keiichi did not kill Tepe. I think that's what it's implying, because at the end, I think you can even say that Satoko didn't lead Keiichi to her house. And I'm only saying that because obviously we see Keiichi kill Tepe, but the information from Rena kind of implies that Oishi shot and killed Rika, Mion, Shion, and Satoko at the festival grounds, meaning Satoko was there. And kind of what Rena said, even though this is not exactly like 100% evidence, is that Keiichi was lucky to go to Satoko's house, which kind of seemed like a singular action. So I think it's the syndrome. Like, Keiichi reached level 5, imagined the whole scenario with Satoko, which made sense, right? Keiichi's high syndrome in Totogoroshi was very Satoko focused. And it's almost like a opposite, where like in Totogoroshi you think like, oh, Keiichi killed Tepe, but like, did he really? Could it just been like an illusion? Well, this one is like the opposite. Wow, it looks like he really did it, but I think it's actually an illusion. It just doesn't really make sense how Tepe would be there either. But the main and this isn't like a thing you can get without knowing about the syndrome for like new anime viewers. But the thing that really gets me, that's the hardest point to think about this, not even talking about Oishi killing everyone, is the fact that how or why did Keiichi reach high level syndrome? Because I could be wrong, but like I said in the reaction, I do believe that it takes like a couple days to reach it. You can't just go like from 0 to 100. And maybe Keiichi wasn't at 0, maybe he was at L3, but he seems super calm for L3, so I'd assume it was like L2 or L1. And I don't know how like because there's no reason to. Like, he saved the day, he wasn't under high stress, but you can kind of assume that Satoto taking him to the house was an illusion there. So like, what triggered it? Or you could even say that maybe Satoto really did take him to the house. But again, there's no reason for it being triggered. Like, the only idea in my mind would be like something actually like hit him in the head, and then he just like instantly popped up to syndrome level 5 because of that. Like, the fear and pain boosted him. Or like maybe Satoto does inject him and then he like interprets it as Tepe attacking him. It's just so weird, because I really don't think Satoto like brought Kaichi to the house and then ran back to the festival. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, even as a strategy thing. I think it was like an illusion the whole way. So that's like something I just can't really understand. Just from my knowledge of the syndrome, though I'm not gonna like pretend it's like super good. But yeah, I do think it's like, the evidence does point to it being a syndrome thing, not Kaichi actually killing Tepe. And it should be important to note that like, they haven't specifically said he did anything, right? But like, it's vague enough to confirm and not confirm at the same time. And then you're like, why did Oishi kill everyone? I mean, we kind of already said it's either high syndrome, and you know, because of the high syndrome, he thought they were behind the curse murders and it was his last night, so he had to get rid of them. Or it's some like looping shit where he's like, oh, next world, I'm Oishi, I'm a freaking witch Oishi. Yeah, those are like my main thoughts. But, so I think, I don't know, I can't really pin I think a mastermind, it feels more likely for Oishi to be the mastermind of the world, but it does also feel likely that Satoto is like, not like like if I want to say like someone's aware of the loop, it feels like Oishi fills the role the most just with the actions in Tatari Damashi Hen, where it feels like Satoto might be like the board villain or the fragment villain, or not villain. I don't know. It feels like she's working with the mountain gods. That's the only like read I get. And again, we're working with a severely limited like list of suspects, right? Like, I don't think it's Rena. I don't think it's the Sonozaki sisters. It's obviously not Kaichi. It's not Tomotaki. It's not Takano. I doubt it's Yurie. So there's only like a handful of characters you can really do, and there's only like a couple sus people. So you kind of have to like just assume it's like one of those 3 or 4. If you count the mountain gods as like, or Tokyo as a character. I don't know, I still think it's freaking Oishi, dude. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Satoto. And if it's fucking Satoshi, just bless me, dude. Just know that I'm actually a freaking genius. Calling the Satoshi Gambit. But I think that's all I got. Just some quick theories. See if it's right. But yeah, anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Again, if you're new, thanks for checking this out. You can catch full reactions to the Higurashi anime series on the channel, along with like almost everything else Higurashi, besides like the season after Go and the J dramas, which will be up after Go. But yeah, thanks. Also, don't spoil, by the way. I probably should have put that in. Just because I'm asking all these questions doesn't mean I actually want an answer. It's just more thinking out loud. And if you do answer, like, be very vague about it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And maybe I'll see you next time. Peace.